The mining complex was older than Cole's grandfather. It had been abandoned for 60 years, left to rust and decay in the mountains. But the tunnels remained solid. They ran deep into the rock, creating a maze that only someone with local knowledge could navigate. Cole had explored these tunnels as a boy. Now the childhood adventure would help him save lives. The Valorans worked quickly to hide their ship in a canyon nearby. They covered it with branches and nets that mimicked the forest floor. From the air, it would be almost invisible. Then they followed Cole into the tunnels, carrying supplies and what few weapons they had. Cole positioned them throughout the complex. The resistance fighters who had some combat experience guarded the main entrances. The others, including Syrah and Bree, waited in the deepest chambers where they would be safest. Cole gave them a map he had drawn from memory. If things went wrong, they could escape through passages that emerged on the far side of the mountain. Tanis stayed with Cole at the main entrance. The Valoran had insisted on fighting beside the human who had saved his sister. Cole had seen enough to respect the man's courage, even if his combat skills were limited. "Tell me," Tanis said as they waited, "what will you do when this is over?" Cole checked his rifle for the 10th time. "I have not thought that far ahead. Syrah told me about your daughter. I am sorry for your loss." Cole said nothing. Some wounds were too deep for words. "She also told me she invited you to come with us when we leave this planet. Did she tell you that?" Cole nodded slowly. Syrah had mentioned it the night before, after her wounds had healed. She had spoken of a galaxy full of wonders. She had spoken of other refugees who needed hope. She had spoken of a place where Cole's skills could make a real difference. He had not given her an answer. "What holds you to this world?" Tanis asked. Cole thought about the question. What did hold him here? His daughter was dead. His wife had left years ago, unable to bear his grief. He had no family left, just a sister who he spoke to once a year on holidays. His life had become a series of empty days. Waiting for an end, he was too stubborn to seek himself. Then he had found Syrah and Bree, and everything had changed. Before Cole could answer, an alarm came through the Valoran communication device. The hunters had arrived. 7 ships descended from the clouds. They spread out over the forest, scanning for their targets. Cole watched from the tunnel entrance as searchlights swept across the trees. The hunters were thorough. They would find the resistance ship eventually. But by then, Cole planned to have reduced their numbers significantly. The first group of hunters landed near the mining complex entrance. 12 of them, armed and armored. They moved in formation, clearly expecting a trap. Cole smiled grimly. They were right to expect one. The first hunter triggered a rockfall that Cole had prepared. Tons of stone came crashing down, burying 3 of them instantly. The others scattered. Some ran into tripwires connected to explosive charges. The charges were primitive things, made from mining supplies Cole had found in the abandoned buildings. But they worked. 2 more hunters went down. The remaining hunters regrouped and advanced more carefully. They fired energy weapons into the tunnel, trying to clear a path. The beams scorched the rock, but did little real damage. The tunnels were deep and full of turns. Energy weapons needed line of sight. In these twisted passages, they were far less effective. Cole fell back deeper into the complex. He led the hunters through a section he had marked earlier. The floor here was weak, supported by rotting timber. As the hunters crossed, Cole shot out the support beams. The floor collapsed. More hunters fell into the darkness below. Hours passed. More hunter ships arrived. More soldiers entered the tunnels. Cole moved through the darkness like a ghost, striking and vanishing. The resistance fighters held their positions, fighting when they had to, Casualties mounted on both sides, but the humans and Valorans were making the hunters pay dearly for every foot of ground. Tanis took a wound to the arm, but kept fighting. An older Valoran, a former factory worker named Kel, used his knowledge of machinery to rig a ventilation shaft into a death trap. A young Valoran named Sira, barely older than a teenager, saved Cole's life by tackling a hunter who had gotten behind him. By dawn, over 40 hunters had entered the complex. Fewer than 15 remained active. The rest were dead or too wounded to continue. But the remaining hunters were the best, the most experienced. They had learned from the night's losses. They were adapting. Cole found himself cornered in a narrow chamber. 3 hunters blocked the only exit. His rifle was empty. His handgun had 2 bullets left. The hunters advanced slowly, their weapons raised and ready. "Surrender," one of them said in broken English. "You are alone. Your fight is over." Cole looked at the 3 hunters. He looked at his empty rifle. He thought about Bree, hiding in the deep chambers with her mother. He thought about his daughter Emma, waiting for him in whatever came after death. He thought about all the things he had done and all the things he had failed to do. "No," he said. "It is not." He charged. The hunters fired. Energy beams tore through the air. Cole felt burning pain in his shoulder, his leg, his side. But he kept moving. He crashed into the first hunter and drove his knife into the gap in the armor at the neck. The hunter fell. Cole took the fallen hunter's weapon and turned it on the second. The energy blast hit the hunter in the chest. He went down. The third hunter grabbed Cole from behind. They struggled in the narrow space. The hunter was stronger, but Cole was desperate. He headbutted the hunter, breaking its nose. He twisted free and fired the stolen weapon point blank. The hunter collapsed. Cole fell against the tunnel wall. His body screamed with pain. He was bleeding from multiple wounds. The alien weapon felt heavy in his hands. He could barely stand. Footsteps echoed in the tunnel. Cole raised the weapon, ready for more enemies. Bree appeared around the corner. "No," Cole gasped. "I told you. Stay hidden." Bree ran to him and pulled his arm over her small shoulders. "Fighting is over." Others came. More resistance. From space, hunters are running. Cole did not understand at first. Then he heard it. The sound of Valoran ships overhead. Not hunter ships. Resistance ships. Dozens of them, from the sound of it. Tanis appeared behind Bree, his arm in a makeshift sling. "Our signal got through." The 4 hunters arrived. Reinforcements came. "Hunters are retreating. We won. Human, we won." Cole let himself slide down the wall. The weapon fell from his fingers. He had nothing left. Every ounce of strength was gone. But it did not matter. They had survived. Sira was safe. Bree was safe. The hunters were defeated. Bree knelt beside him. Her dark eyes were full of tears. "You must not die. You promised to stay with family." Cole managed a weak smile. "Not dying. Just resting. Need a minute." The Lauren medics arrived and began treating his wounds. The alien technology worked fast, closing the worst of the damage. Cole watched through half-closed eyes as the tunnels filled with resistance fighters. They had come from across the galaxy to help their brothers and sisters. Now they were helping him too. Sira appeared at his side. She was fully healed now, standing strong. She took Cole's hand and held it gently. "You saved us all," she said. "Not just me. And Bree, everyone. The hunters. Broke here. They will think twice. The 4 attacking. Our people again. Just did. What needed doing?" Cole mumbled. Sci-Fi smiled. "That is what makes you different. Most beings run from danger. You run toward it. When others need help, Cole closed his eyes. He was tired, more tired than he had ever been in his life. But it was a good tired. The tired of work well done, of promises kept. When he woke, he was on a ship. Not the same ship from before. This one was much larger. A window beside his bed showed stars. Countless stars, more than he had ever seen from Earth. They were already in space. Bree sat in a chair beside his bed. When she saw his eyes open, she jumped up and hugged him carefully, mindful of his bandages. "You are awake, Mother." "He is awake." Syrah entered the room. Behind her came Tanis and several other Valorans Cole recognized from the fight. They all wore smiles. "Welcome back," Syrah said. "You slept for 3 days. Your body needed rest." Cole sat up slowly. His wounds were mostly healed. Alien medicine was truly remarkable. "Where are we?" "Leaving your solar system. Heading to Resistance Base. There's much work to do. If you still want to come with us." Cole looked at Bree, still holding his hand. He looked at Syrah, waiting patiently for his answer. He thought about Earth, his cabin, his old life. All of it felt distant now, like memories of someone else. "I am already here," Cole said. "Seems like the decision is made." Bree made a happy sound and hugged him again. Syrah's smile grew wider. Even Tanis laughed. Later, when they were alone, Bree asked Cole to tell her a story. It had become her habit during their time in the tunnels. Stories helped her sleep. Stories helped her forget the fear. Cole thought for a moment. Then he smiled. "Let me tell you about a man named Neil Armstrong. He lived on Earth a long time ago, and he looked at the moon in the sky and decided he wanted to walk on it." Bree's eyes went wide. "Humans went to moon? Before space travel?" "We did not have real space travel then. Just rockets. Primitive things that burned fuel and shook apart. But he went anyway. He and 2 friends flew through the void in a tiny metal box. And when he stepped onto the moon's surface, he said words that all. The ship that landed was 3 times the size of the hunter's vessel. Its hull was silver gray, marked with those strange symbols that Cole now recognized as Valoran writing. A ramp lowered from its belly, and figures began to emerge. They were Valorans, but they looked different from the hunters. They wore simple clothes instead of armor. They carried tools instead of weapons. Their expressions showed concern instead of hostility. One of them ran towards Syrah with arms outstretched. It was a male Valoran, tall and thin, with the same pale blue skin. He embraced Syrah carefully, mindful of her injuries. They spoke rapidly in their clicking language. Tears ran down Syrah's face. Bree joined the embrace, and the 3 of them held each other like family reunited after too long apart. Cole stood apart from the reunion. He kept his rifle ready, watching the other Valorans from the ship. Trust was not something he gave easily. These strangers had saved them from the hunter's ship, but that did not mean they were friends. The male Valoran noticed Cole watching. He said something to Syrah, gesturing toward the human. Syrah responded. The male's eyes widened. He approached Cole slowly, hands visible and empty. "Human?" he said. The word was heavily accented, but understandable. "My sister tells me you saved her life and daughter. This true?" Cole nodded once. The male Valoran studied him. His dark eyes moved over Cole's face, his rifle, his worn hunting clothes, the blood and burn marks that covered him. "One human against hunters. You should be dead." "I have been told that before," Cole said. Something like a smile crossed the Valoran's face. "I am Tanis, brother to Syrah. We have searched many cycles to find her. The Resistance tracked Hunter ship signal to this planet. We expected to find bodies. Instead, we find you. Cole glanced at Sierra and Bree. They were being helped toward the ship by other Valorans. Medical equipment was being brought out. The Resistance. What is that? Tanis turned to walk with Cole toward the ship. Our government has become corrupt, evil. They hunt those who speak against them. Sierra spoke. She was teacher. She taught truth. Now truth is crime. Many of us fight back. We hide. We rescue. We survive. One day, we will change everything. It was a story Cole understood well. He had seen similar situations on Earth. People fighting for freedom against those who wanted to control them. The scale was different, but the heart of it was the same. They reached the ship. Inside, it was warm and clean. The Valons had laid Sierra on a medical bed. Devices hummed around her, scanning her body, beginning to heal her wounds. Bree sat beside her, holding her mother's hand. She looked up when Cole entered and smiled at him. A Valoran approached Cole with a medical device. You are injured. Allow me to help, Cole hesitated. He did not like unknown technology near his body. But the pain from his burn wound was getting worse, and he knew infection was a risk. He nodded and let the Valoran work. The device felt cool against his skin. Within minutes, the pain began to fade. He looked down and saw the burned flesh knitting itself back together. Alien medicine was impressive. Tanis watched the treatment with interest. You humans have no technology like this, yes? No, Cole admitted. We heal the slow way. Time and rest. And yet, you fought 3 hunters. Killed them. With primitive weapons. How? Cole thought about the question. How had he done it? Training, experience, desperation, luck, all of those things and something more. Something harder to explain. When I was a soldier, Cole said slowly, I learned that technology does not win fights. People win fights. Determination wins fights. The hunters had better weapons, but they did not expect real resistance. They thought we would run or hide or surrender. When I fought back, they did not know how to react. Tanis translated this for some of the other Valorans who had gathered to listen. They exchanged glances. One of them spoke, and Tanis translated the question. They asked, why you fought? So strangers. For aliens, Sierra and Bree are not your people. Cole looked at Bree, still holding her mother's hand. He thought about his daughter Emma. He thought about all the times he had failed to save someone who needed help. He thought about the moment he had found Sierra and Bree in that crashed ship, terrified and waiting to die. They needed help, Cole said simply. That was enough. The Valorans were silent. They looked at Cole with expressions he could not read. Then Tanis spoke. We have traveled to many worlds, met many species. Most are like us. They help their own kind. They protect their own people. Humans are new to us. We have never visited your world. But stories say humans are violent, dangerous, primitive. Some of us are, Cole agreed. We are not a perfect species. We fight each other. We hurt each other. We have done terrible things in our history. But we also protect. We also sacrifice. We also love. Sometimes the same person can be all of those things. Tanis nodded slowly. Complex. Your species is very complex. Sierra's voice came from the medical bed. She was awake, her wounds mostly healed by the alien technology. Tanis, you need to hear what he did. Not just fighting. Before that, she told her brother everything. How Cole had found them in the wreckage. How he had carried her through the forest for hours. How he had treated her wounds with primitive medicine through the night. How he had prepared to face the hunters alone instead of running away. How he had promised to protect them and kept that promise. The Valorans listened in silence. When Sierra finished, they looked at Cole with new understanding in their eyes. One of them, an elder with deep lines on her blue face, stepped forward. She spoke in Valoran, and Tanis translated. Elder Myra says, "You have shown true courage, not the courage of those who fight, because they must, but courage of those who choose to fight for others. This is rare in any species," she says. "You have honor. You are a warrior in the truest sense." Cole did not know what to say. He was not used to praise. He had done what needed to be done. That was all. Bree jumped down from her seat beside her mother. She ran to Cole and took his hand. Her small fingers wrapped around his larger ones. "You are part of us now. Family, you saved. My mother, you saved me. Family." Cole felt something crack open in his chest. It was an old wound, one he had carried since Emma died. The wound had never healed. But now, looking at this alien child who had claimed him as family, he felt it begin to close. Just a little. Just enough. "Okay," he said quietly. "Family." Sierra smiled from her bed. Even Tanis looked moved. The elder Valoran nodded with approval, but there was no time to dwell on the moment. An alarm began to sound on the ship. One of the crew members rushed to a console and checked the readings. He spoke urgently in Valoran. Tanis translated with a grim expression. "More hunters coming. 7 ships. Someone sent. Distress signal. Before dying. They know. Resistance is here. They are bringing full force. 7 ships. Dozens of hunters." The odds had just gotten much worse. Cole released Bree's hand and picked up his rifle from where he had set it down. The weapon felt familiar and right in his hands. "How long until they get here?" 2 hours. Maybe less. Cole looked around the ship. The Valorans were resistance fighters, but they were not soldiers. They were teachers and doctors and workers who had been forced to fight. They did not have military training. They did not have battle experience. What they had was courage and desperation. Sometimes that was enough. Sometimes it was not. "Do you have a place to hide?" Cole asked. "Somewhere the hunters cannot find you?" Tanis shook his head. "Our ship is fast, but not fast enough. They will catch us before we reach safe space." Cole thought about the mountains. He thought about the terrain he knew so well. He thought about the old Mayan complex deeper in the wilderness, with its tunnels and hidden passages. A place where superior technology would mean less. A place where knowledge of the ground mattered more than weapons. "I know a place," Cole said. "Not far from here. Old tunnels in the mountains. We can hide there. Make them come to us. Fight on our terms." Tanis relayed this to the others. There was rapid discussion in Valoran. Finally, the elder Mira spoke. She says, "We trust you, human warrior. Lead us. We will follow." Cole nodded. He walked to the ship's ramp and looked out at the forest. His forest. His mountains. Hunters were coming. More enemies than he had ever faced. The odds were terrible, but he had something the hunters did not have. He had home ground advantage. He had people worth protecting. And he had absolutely nothing left to lose. "Get everyone ready to move," Cole said. "We have a lot of ground to cover, and not much time. Behind him, the Valorans began to prepare. Bree appeared at his side again, her small hand finding his. She did not speak. She did not need to. Her presence said everything. Cole took one last look at his cabin through the trees. The place where he had hidden from life for so many years. He would probably never see it again. Somehow, that thought did not bother him as much as he expected. He had been alone for too long. Now he had a family to protect, and nothing in the galaxy was going to stop him. Cole moved through the forest like a ghost. He had spent 20 years learning every rock, every tree, every hill in these mountains. Now that knowledge would keep him alive. He circled back toward the crash site, staying hidden among the trees. He needed to see what he was facing before they found the cabin. He found a position on a ridge overlooking the ravine. The crashed Valoran ship still sat at the bottom, broken and cold. But it was no longer alone. Another ship had landed nearby. This one was sleek and undamaged. It was black as midnight, with sharp angles that made it look dangerous even standing still. A hunter's ship. 3 figures moved around the crash site. They were Valoran, like Bree and her mother, but different. These Valorans wore dark armor that covered their bodies. They carried weapons that glowed faintly with energy. They moved with military precision, checking the wreckage and examining the ground. Cole watched through his rifle scope. He studied their movements. He noted their weapons. He counted their steps and timed their patterns. Information was survival. The more he knew, the better his chances. One of the hunters found the blood trail leading away from the crash. He called to the others in that clicking Valoran language. They gathered around, examining the purple drops on the leaves. One of them smiled. It was not a kind smile. It was the smile of a predator that had found its prey scent. Cole moved before they did. He retreated silently through the forest, taking a different path than the blood trail. He needed to reach the cabin first. He needed to prepare the welcome these hunters deserved. He arrived 20 minutes before them. Bree was waiting at the window, watching for him. Her eyes filled with relief when she saw him emerge from the trees. Cole entered the cabin and went straight to her mother. Sira was awake. Her dark eyes were open, and she was trying to sit up. Bree rushed to help her. The mother looked at Cole with the same confused expression from the night before. She still did not understand why he was helping them. Cole did not have time to explain. 3 hunters, he said. Coming this way. We need to move. Sira spoke in her language. The translation device, still hanging around Bree's neck, converted her words. I cannot. Walk far. Too weak. You should. Leave us. Save yourself. Cole shook his head. That is not going to happen. Can you hold a weapon? Sira's eyes widened slightly. You would. Give me weapon? If you can use it, Cole said. He pulled his handgun from its holster and held it out to her. Point this end at what you want to stop. Pull this part. Simple. Sira took the weapon with trembling hands. She examined it like she had never seen anything so primitive. Compared to the energy weapons the hunters carried, it probably was primitive. But bullets killed just as effectively as energy beams. Cole had proven that many times. There's a hidden path behind the cabin, Cole said. It leads to old mining tunnels in the mountains. If things go bad here, take Bree and run. Do not stop until you reach the tunnels. Hide there until I come for you. And if you do not come? Sira asked. Cole met her eyes. Then keep hiding. Keep your daughter safe. That is all that matters. Sira stared at him for a long moment. Something changed in her expression. The confusion was still there, but it was mixed with something else now. Respect, maybe, or gratitude. She nodded once, firmly. Cole heard movement in the forest. They were here. He positioned himself at the front window. The cabin had thick log walls. They would stop energy weapons for a while, but not forever. He needed to thin their numbers before they could surround the building. The first hunter appeared between the trees. He was moving carefully, weapon raised, scanning for threats. Cole let him get closer. Patience. Patience was everything in a fight like this. A second hunter appeared on the left. Then a third on the right. They were spreading out, preparing to encircle the cabin. Standard military tactics. Cole had used the same approach himself many times. He knew its weaknesses. The first hunter stepped on the trap Cole had set the night before. The bear trap snapped shut on his leg with brutal force. The hunter screamed. His companions spun toward the sound, weapons raised. In that moment of distraction, Cole fired. His bullet caught the second hunter in the chest. The Valoran armor absorbed some of the impact, but not all. The hunter staggered backward and fell. Cole chambered another round and fired again. This shot went wide as the third hunter dove for cover. The trapped hunter was trying to free himself from the bear trap. He was making a lot of noise. Cole shot him too. The hunter went still. 2 down. 1 remaining. Cole moved from the window. The third hunter would not stay hidden for long. These were soldiers. They were trained to fight back. Sure enough, an energy beam tore through the cabin wall moments later. It passed through the space where Cole had been standing and burned a hole in the opposite wall. Bree screamed. Sierra pulled her daughter close and covered her mouth. Cole stayed low and moved to a different window. He needed a new angle. The third hunter was advancing now, using the trees for cover. His weapon fired again. Another beam cut through the cabin. The log walls were starting to break apart. Cole did not have much time. He thought about what Bree had said. These were hunters. They were sent to kill. They would not stop. They would not negotiate. They would keep coming until their targets were dead or they were dead themselves. In a situation like this, there was only one option. Cole ran out the back door. He circled around the cabin, staying low, moving fast. The hunter was focused on the front of the building. He did not see Cole coming from the side. Cole raised his rifle and aimed at the gap in the hunter's armor near the neck. The hunter turned at the last moment. Some instinct warned him. He raised his weapon. Cole fired. The bullet hit the hunter's weapon instead of his neck. The weapon exploded in a burst of sparks and energy. The hunter stumbled backward, his hands burned and useless. Cole did not give him time to recover. He closed the distance in 3 steps and hit the hunter with the stock of his rifle. The hunter fell. Cole hit him again and again, until the hunter stopped moving. Silence filled the forest. Cole stood over the fallen hunter, breathing hard. His hands were shaking. Adrenaline coursed through his body. He looked at the 3 hunters on the ground. All of them were still. The fight was over. He walked back to the cabin on unsteady legs. Sierra and Bree were waiting at the back door. Bree ran to him and wrapped her arms around his waist. She was crying. Cole put his hand on her head and let her hold on. "You are hurt," Sierra said. She pointed at Cole's side. Cole looked down. A burn mark crossed his ribs. One of the energy beams had grazed him during the fight. He had not even noticed. Now that the adrenaline was fading, he could feel the pain. It was bad, but not fatal. "I have had worse," he said. Sierra limped toward him. She took his arm and guided him inside the cabin. She made him sit down. Then, with hands still trembling from weakness, she began to treat his wound using his own medical supplies. Bree helped. She held bandages and passed tools like she had done this before. "You fought 3 hunters alone," Sierra said as she worked. "They were trained. Soldiers, you are just 1 human." "Humans are harder to kill than we look," Cole said. Sierra shook her head. "My people believe humans are primitive. Weak, we were told. You have no advanced technology. No space travel. You fight with simple weapons. Sometimes simple works best, Cole said. Sierra finished bandaging his wound. She looked at him with those dark alien eyes. I am beginning to understand why humans are so dangerous. Cole almost smiled. We have a saying, do not mistake kindness for weakness. The translation device clicked as it processed his words. Bree looked up at him. You were kind to us, but to hunters. You were not kind. No, Cole agreed. I was not. There was a sound from outside. Cole grabbed his rifle and moved to the window. His heart sank. The hunter's ship was powering up. Its engines glowed with building energy. Someone else was inside, a fourth hunter, one he had not seen at the crash site. The ship rose into the air. It turned toward the cabin. Weapons began to charge along its hull. Run, Cole said. Now. The back path. Go. Sarah grabbed Bree and they ran. Cole stayed at the window. He raised his rifle, knowing it was useless against a ship. The weapons on the hull were aimed directly at him. In seconds, the cabin would be ashdod. Then something happened. A beam of light shot down from the sky. It struck the hunter's ship like the fist of an angry god. The ship exploded in a ball of fire and crashed into the forest. Cole stared at the burning wreckage. He looked up at the sky. Something was descending through the clouds. Another ship, much larger than the hunter's vessel. It had no weapons visible, but its hull was covered in symbols that looked like words. Bree came running back around the cabin. She was pointing at the sky, shouting in her language. The translation device could barely keep up. Help, they came. Resistance, found us. Mother, they found us. Cole lowered his rifle. He watched the new ship land in the clearing beyond the cabin. Reinforcements. But not for the hunter's thought for the first time in days. He allowed himself to hope. The cabin appeared through the trees just after midnight. Cole had never been so happy to see the old wooden building. His arms burned from half carrying the alien mother for 5 miles. His legs ached, but they had made it. The child had walked the entire way on her own small legs, refusing to slow them down. She still held onto Cole's jacket with one hand, and her mother's fingers with the other. Cole pushed open the door and guided them inside. The cabin was simple. One main room with a fireplace, a small kitchen, a bedroom in the back, and a bathroom with running water from a well. He had built most of it himself after leaving the Marines. It was his place to escape the world. Now it was a hiding place for creatures not of this world. He helped the mother onto the bed. She had fallen unconscious during the last mile of the walk. Her breathing was weak. The purple blood had soaked through the cloth Cole had wrapped around her wound. He needed to work fast. Cole gathered his medical supplies. They were basic things: bandages, antiseptic, painkillers. He had no idea if any of it would work on alien biology, but he had to try. He cleaned the wound as gently as he could. The flesh beneath the blue skin was purple and red. It looked almost human in that way. He applied pressure to stop the bleeding. He stitched the wound closed with fishing line, the only thread he had that was strong enough. The child watched everything. She sat in a chair near the bed, her dark eyes following Cole's every movement. She did not cry. She did not make a sound. She just watched with an intensity that made Cole uncomfortable. He understood that look. It was the look of someone memorizing everything in case they needed to run. In case this stranger turned out to be an enemy after all. Cole finished bandaging the wound and covered the mother with blankets. She was cold to the touch. He built a fire in the fireplace, bigger than he normally would. The warmth filled the cabin slowly. The child moved closer to the fire without taking her eyes off Cole. He realized he was exhausted. The adrenaline that had carried him through the night was fading, but he could not sleep. Not yet. He sat in his chair across from the child and waited. For what? He did not know. The child reached into her mother's clothing and pulled out a small device. It was circular, about the size of a coin. She pressed something on its surface, and it lit up with soft blue light. She held it out toward Cole. He took it carefully. The device was warm. It vibrated slightly in his hand. A voice came from the device. It was mechanical and strange, but it spoke English. Translation: active. Speak. Slowly. Cole stared at the device. Then he looked at the child. She pointed at the device, then at herself, then at him. She wanted to talk. "Can you understand me?" Cole asked slowly. The device clicked and hummed. Then the child's eyes lit up with recognition. She nodded quickly. She spoke in her clicking language, and the device translated. "Yes, understand. Some words." Device old. Not perfect. Cole felt something loosen in his chest. Communication. That changed everything. "What is your name?" The child tilted her head. The device translated her response. "Name is hard to say." "Your language." Close sound is Bree. Bree, Cole repeated. The child smiled slightly. It was the first time he had seen her smile. It looked almost human. "My name is Cole. What happened to you? Who hurt your mother?" Bree's smile faded. She looked at her mother on the bed. When she spoke, her voice was quiet. The device translated in its broken way. "We are Valoran, our home world, far. Government changed. New leaders. Hate us, hunt us." Mother spoke against them. "We became enemies. We ran. They followed. Shot our ship. We crashed. Here." Cole listened with growing understanding. Political refugees. He had seen the type in war zones. People running from their own governments. People whose only crime was disagreeing with those in power. It did not matter that these refugees were alien. The story was as old as civilization itself. "The ones who shot you down," Cole said. "Will they come looking?" Bree's dark eyes filled with fear. "Yes, hunters, sent to. Kill us. Kill anyone who sees us. They will come." Cole nodded slowly. He had already guessed as much. Someone would investigate that crash. Someone would follow the blood trail. And when they did, they would find this cabin. He should have been afraid. Instead, he felt something familiar stirring in his chest. It was the feeling he used to get before a mission. Calm focus. Clear purpose. "I will not let them hurt you," Cole said. "Either of you." Bree stared at him for a long moment. The device did not translate her expression, but Cole could read it anyway. Confusion, suspicion, and underneath it all, desperate hope. "Why?" she asked. "We are not your people." "Why help?" Cole thought about the question. It deserved an honest answer. He reached into his pocket and pulled out an old photograph. It was worn and faded from years of handling. The photo showed a little girl with brown hair and a gap-toothed smile. Emma, his daughter. He showed it to Bree. "I had a daughter," Cole said. "She died. A long time ago. She was about your age." Bree looked at the photograph. Her eyes softened. She understood loss. Even alien children understood loss. "When I saw you holding your mother," Cole continued, "I saw her. I saw every scared child I have ever failed to save. I could not walk away. Not this time." The translation device clicked quietly as it processed his words. Bree listened. Then she reached out and touched the photograph gently with her four-fingered hand. She looked up at Cole and said something in her own language. The device translated. "She was beautiful. I'm sorry. She's gone." Cole blinked away the moisture in his eyes. "Thank you." They sat in silence for a while. The fire crackled. The mother's breathing steadied. Outside, the forest was quiet and dark. Bree moved from her chair to sit on the floor near the fire. After a moment, she moved closer to Cole, not touching, but close. Like a child seeking comfort from an adult. Cole did not move away. "Bree," he said quietly, "I need to know more about the hunters. How many? What weapons? When will they come?" Bree thought for a moment. 3 hunters. Maybe 4. Travel in. Small ship. Have weapons that burn. Kill fast. They will search. The crash. Find trail. Follow. Maybe morning. Maybe sooner. Cole calculated the odds in his head. 3 or 4 trained alien soldiers with advanced weapons against 1 retired Marine with hunting rifles. The odds were bad. But Cole had faced bad odds before. He had survived. He would survive this too. "Get some sleep," he told Bree. "Stay with your mother. I need to prepare." Bree nodded. She went to the bed and curled up next to her mother. Within minutes, exhaustion took her and she fell asleep. Cole watched them for a moment. Mother and child, sleeping in his bed, trusting him to keep them safe. The weight of that trust settled on his shoulders. It was heavy, but it was a weight he was willing to carry. Cole went to his storage room. He had weapons. A hunting rifle with a scope. A shotgun. A handgun he kept for emergencies. He had ammunition. He had knives. He had traps meant for bears that could just as easily catch something else. He began to prepare. The night passed slowly. Cole worked without stopping. He set traps around the cabin. He identified defensive positions. He planned escape routes through the forest. He loaded his weapons and placed them at strategic points. By the time the sun began to rise, he was ready. He checked on Bree and her mother one more time. They were still sleeping. The mother's color looked slightly better. She might survive if Cole could buy them enough time. He touched Bree's shoulder gently. She woke instantly, alert and afraid. "They are coming," Cole said. "Stay inside. Stay quiet. No matter what you hear, do not come out. Understand?" Bree nodded. Her eyes were wide, but she did not cry. She was brave. Cole respected that. He picked up his rifle and walked to the door. Outside, the forest was peaceful. Birds sang in the trees. Morning mist drifted between the trunks. It looked like any other autumn morning. But somewhere out there, hunters were tracking them. Cole opened the door and stepped outside. He had a war to fight. Cole Harrison had been tracking the blood trail for 3 hours. The drops were strange. They were not red like deer blood. They were dark purple, almost black against the autumn leaves. But Cole kept following. He was a hunter. He had been a hunter since his father first put a rifle in his hands at age 12. Now at 46, he knew these Montana mountains better than anyone alive. The trail led him deeper into the forest than he had ever gone. He passed landmarks he did not recognize. The trees grew thicker here. The sunlight barely reached the ground. Something felt wrong. Cole had hunted elk, bear, and mountain lion. He knew what wounded animals did. They found shelter. They hid. But this trail went in a straight line, as if whatever was bleeding had a destination in mind. Cole stopped when he heard the sound. It was not an animal sound. It was metal groaning. It was the sound of something broken trying to hold itself together. He raised his rifle and moved forward slowly. His boots made no sound on the soft earth. 20 years in the Marines had taught him how to move without being heard. The ravine appeared suddenly. Cole almost fell into it. He grabbed a tree branch and looked down. What he saw made no sense. A ship sat at the bottom of the ravine. It was not a plane. It was not a helicopter. It was something else entirely. The hull was silver and smooth. Burn marks covered one side. Holes punched through the metal showed where something had shot at it. The ship had crashed hard. Trees were knocked down, and a line behind it. Cole stood there for a long time. His mind tried to make sense of what his eyes were showing him. He was a practical man. He believed in things he could see and touch. But this was beyond anything he had ever seen. This was not from Earth. He climbed down into the ravine carefully. The purple blood trail led directly to the ship. Up close, he could see strange symbols on the hull. They meant nothing to him. The metal was warm to the touch, like it still held heat from entering the atmosphere. A section of the hull had broken open during the crash. Cole approached the opening with his rifle ready. Inside the ship, everything was dark. Emergency lights flickered red. Cole let his eyes adjust. The interior was small, meant for maybe 4 passengers at most. Control panels sparked and smoked. And in the corner, pressed against the wall, he found them. Cole had seen many things in his life. He had served in 3 wars. He had watched friends die. He had held his daughter's hand as she passed away in a hospital bed. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. 2 beings huddled together in the darkness. They were clearly not human. Their skin was pale blue, like a winter sky just before sunrise. They had 4 fingers on each hand. Their eyes were large and dark, like pools of black water. One was an adult. A female, Cole thought, though he could not be sure. She was badly wounded. The purple blood came from a deep gash in her side. Her breathing was shallow and fast. The other was small. A child. Maybe equivalent to a human 5-year-old. The child clung to the adult with desperate strength. Both of them stared at Cole with pure terror in their eyes. Cole had his rifle pointed at them. His finger rested near the trigger. In that moment, he could have done anything. No one would ever know. These creatures were not human. They were not from this world. Every movie he had ever seen told him aliens were dangerous. Every instinct told him to protect himself first. The adult moved. She pushed herself in front of the child, using her own body as a shield. She was too weak to stand. She could barely lift her arms. But she put herself between Cole and the little one. She made a sound that Cole understood without translation. It was the sound of a mother protecting her child. It was the sound of someone who expected to die, but would fight anyway. Cole thought of his daughter. Emma had been 7 when she died. A car accident on a rainy night. He remembered how she used to hide behind him when she was scared. He remembered the weight of her small hand in his. He remembered the day he buried her and how the world lost all its color. The alien child made a small, crying sound. It pressed its face against its mother's back. Its thin shoulders shook with fear. And in that moment, Cole made his choice. He lowered his rifle. He set it on the ground. He raised his hands, palms out, showing he held no weapon. The alien mother watched him with confusion in her dark eyes. She did not understand. She had expected death. All her body language spoke of someone waiting for the final blow. Cole spoke softly. He did not know if she could understand his words, but he knew she could understand his tone. He had used the same voice to calm frightened animals. He had used it to comfort dying soldiers. He had used it to say goodbye to his daughter. "I will help," Cole said. 3 simple words. The alien mother's eyes widened. Her defensive posture did not change. She did not trust him. Cole understood that. Trust had to be earned. But something shifted in her expression. A tiny crack in the wall of fear. Maybe it was hope. Maybe it was just confusion. Either way, it was enough. Cole moved slowly. He pointed at the wound on her side. He mimed wrapping it. He pointed outside, then made a walking gesture with his fingers. He pointed at himself, then at her, then at the child. He would take them somewhere safe. He would help them. She just had to let him. The child peeked out from behind its mother. Its large eyes studied Cole's face. Children were the same everywhere, Cole thought. They watched. They learned. They understood more than adults gave them credit for. The child tugged at its mother's arm. It made soft clicking sounds. Some kind of language. The mother looked at her child, then back at Cole. Finally, she nodded. It was small. It was hesitant. But it was agreement. Cole picked up his rifle and slung it over his shoulder. He approached the mother slowly, keeping his movements predictable. Up close, he could see how bad her wound was. She had lost a lot of blood. He did not know if alien physiology worked like human physiology, but shock and blood loss killed most living things. He helped her stand. She was lighter than he expected. Her skin felt cool and smooth under his hands. The child grabbed his jacket and would not let go. Its small fingers gripped the fabric with surprising strength. Cole did not mind. He understood the need to hold on to something solid when the world made no sense. They left the crashed ship behind. Cole guided them up the ravine, moving slowly for the mother's sake. The sun was setting. His cabin was 5 miles away. It would be a long walk in the dark. But Cole had made his choice. He would see it through. As they walked, the mother looked at him several times. Each time, her expression held the same question. Why? Why would a stranger risk himself for them? Why would a human help aliens? Cole had no answer she would understand. He barely understood it himself. He just knew that leaving them to die was not something he could do. The child made those soft clicking sounds again. The mother responded weakly. Cole wondered what they were saying. Maybe the child was asking about him. Maybe the mother was telling her child that they might survive after all. Maybe they were just saying they were scared. Cole walked on. The forest grew darker around them. Somewhere behind them, he knew, someone would come looking for that crashed ship. Whatever had shot them down would want to make sure they were dead. Cole pushed that thought aside. One problem at a time. First, he had to keep them alive through the night. The stars came out above the trees. Cole looked up at them and wondered which one was their home. Then he looked at the child still gripping his jacket and the mother leaning on his shoulder. Home did not matter right now. Survival did.